When I was young, I learned about controlling people's feelings and emotions. Um, there's a lot of people in the world that learn how to um, make people feel certain feelings. Same word. It's the same. It's a different word for the same word as emotion. Emotion or feeling, same thing. Just a thought. There's a lot of people, young people and old people. They know how to make people think certain things. They can make them feel certain emotions, and that's all they like to do is control people's emotions and feelings. That's why they pull guns on them. That's why they yell at them. It's like they're not gonna like if they feel like they're not affecting the person. You know what I mean? They start to like get more intense and physical, and it's all about controlling the person's thoughts. And those are the type of people that I don't see as the ones that look out for your well-being, because a lot of the thoughts they try to create, the feeling, their emotions, the thoughts, the thoughts that connect to the feelings and emotions that they create are usually fear and stress, which connects to the pain and the misery, and they don't build confidence and pleasure and well-being. They break you down that way. You can't think. Reprogram your mind, erase your happy thoughts, like flying and riding and drinking, eating, and then erase all that shit with other ideas. Well, yeah, I noticed that I met a lot of those people, you know, throughout my long life, and most of, I'd say 9 out of 10, like 99% of society likes to, when they socialize and communicate in places that are like social places, like at the check stand, cash register, or at gas station, or maybe being pulled over by the police for like a traffic stop or maybe a ticket. It's always like that. It's like I don't just say stuff that causes fear and misery and pain. Like say shit that's gonna like affect them with pain and misery. That's why I don't like society. Like because I realize that that's what society does largely. They act like it's all like working, everything's working properly and shit. That happens like once a week on Sunday, and then 6 other days it's like you're a fuck up. You're not working fast enough, hard enough. And then like you're a bad person. Try to make the society a criminal. They incriminate society. So that you'll just be this little loser, can never think because you're so constantly and often in the thought of fear and stress and pain, which is like anxiety. You're just constantly thinking of some bad shit's gonna happen because that's all that ever happened in society. That's all that ever seems to happen in society. Some bad shit seems to happen. So how are you ever gonna become a genius with all these great ideas if you're constantly living in fear in the city and society that you live at? You won't be able to remember your thoughts. You write the shit down, you'll get sick of looking at it because you get reprogrammed with fear. You just might as well throw away that piece of paper with that last, hit song on it because they're not gonna like that. Someone that claims to be the boss ain't gonna like that. Like, they're the authority. They're not gonna like your good ideas until you're dead. Once you're dead, they can pull all your great ideas out of a drawer and start to use them and shit and fucking collect the bankroll and that shit, and they can forget all about it. They can forget all about how they'll never remember that they're using your fucking pleasure, positive, you know. Think they're like, no, it's all me, you know. It's all me and my money. A lot of times they think everything's going good because money, but that's not what it is. So the mind, it's controlling your mind and your thoughts. I think it's also like when you feel like you want something, those other people that are guarding what you want allow you to have it. Keeps them on a positive note too, because say those people at the store that's hoarding all the food and drink that doesn't taste like chlorinated tap water. Let's pretend those people said, no, you can't have anything. What do you think's gonna happen? You're gonna feel miserable, and then they're gonna feel miserable because they're looking at some miserable guy that's standing in front of them. So if they don't let you have what you want, they're not gonna be happy, because it's just like a mother and father, you know, when their kids are all unhappy, when the family's unhappy, usually the father's not happy, the mother's not happy, just because they're surrounded by miserable kids that are crying because they don't have shit that they want to have, you know, like orange juice or cookies or whatever, some shit like that. Some desire comes into their mind and they want to feel that desire, you know. Good question is where is that desire coming from? Where'd they get the thought inside their mind that one tells them to drink orange juice and eat cookies, you know? And then how come sometimes it seems like that desire can be filled easily? You know, it's like as easy as scooping up some sand and dropping it back down. Then sometimes it seems like it's the most difficult thing in the world. Like you gotta have money that you don't have. And then they're like, oh, sorry, that costs, you know, $5.86. Like, what a weird number price, right? And you're like at $3 with some coins. That shit's an illusion, dude. It's just a material object. No. You gotta go back to work while you're starving. You gotta go back to work while you're dying of thirst and dehydration while you're starving, and get yourself up another $5, you know? And then you see, like, sometimes you see people that seem like they're having that problem, you know? Like, I gotta I gotta wait for payday in order to live my life the way I want to. Like, fuck that lifestyle, dude. I got sick of that back when I turned 18, you know? Like, I gotta wait for some day on Sunday, like a month away, some government thing to come in the mail, like to survive. Fuck that, dude. I'm trying to live life every day. You know what I mean? Every day, every night, all day and all night. You know what I mean? The government, they want you to die every night at 10 o'clock, you know? Die every night at 10 o'clock and wake up and feel like, oh shit, I gotta get to some place before I lose my money to pay to live, you know? Some shit like that. But if you fucking are a big enough loser like me, eventually you'll just find out maybe there's some fucking bottom of the barrel place you can fucking kick back, you know? Like county jail or the homeless shelter. You'd be like, this didn't make it to work today. Because he's tired of the fear-based motivation and the fear-based, yeah, like parents, they learn from the government and their parents, like, how to control their children with fear of like an attack, like physical pain, like a physical injury, like you hit them, strike them with their hand most of the time, or their foot, and then they're like, that's hell of helping to control them because they don't like the pain, you know. But it never motivates them to do anything either. And that's the society's based on. It's based on a winner loser idea, like big cat, small mouse, you know. And then the youth, they have to try to be something they're not. Um, if the youth are a small mouse, how can they lie to themselves and come to believe that they can be a cat one day? Because they're told that when they turn 18, they're all of a sudden a big cat. You know what I mean? Like, then they spend all of their life lost for 50 years until they get old and die. That doesn't sound like a very good, program or like story. Doesn't sound like a very good like game plan, especially compared to those rich people that like plan on going to work and saving their money and having like money to send their kids to like places to educate them and shit. Like after you go to that shitty public school for 20 years, you can go to a private college like university like Harvard, and they'll pay them so they'll give you something. All these ideas. I still stand behind that belief that friends, if I was going to define the word friend, and how it seems that there's several based on all these people in the world, how the definition of a friend should be pleasure and supporting and looking out for your well-being. A lot of people aren't like that though. They're quick to fucking sell you out for $1 or a cookie or some type of material object. Like say you're hanging out with some dude and he seems like your right hand man, or you have like a girlfriend or whatever, and she's talking about getting married and all this shit, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's like, fuck that, though. I found out you don't have that much money. The girlfriend will say, I found out you're not really not that powerful and you don't have that much material control or money in the world. Or your guy friend will be like, why should I be your friend? You don't have any cigarettes and any money and you don't have any shit. And then it's like, well, what are you saying? That God, you're only going to go be friends with this guy that's like has more control over the world because he has more money. Like he's more like God because he's able to buy Marlboros and Pepsi and fucking has a car and shit. It's like that dude's not gonna fucking have you around for long, dude. He's just trying to separate you from me so that I'm weak, and then you're gonna go over there with him thinking this dude's giving me shit. He must be the. Your thoughts don't really go that far, do they? Your thoughts are just like in the moment. You think about like what's good now. You're gonna think, oh, this guy got cigarette soda in a car, cigarette sodas and a bike, or cigarette sodas and he has nice ass clothes that are clean. I should hang out with him because he's not a homeless loser. And then an hour later, he's gonna be like, peace, dude, you're a fucking loser. And then you're gonna think, oh fuck, maybe I should have stayed with homeboy. That's how it goes, dude. You don't think you don't think ahead of time, and money's never gonna have you around, dude. It's just gonna divide you. That motherfucker doesn't want some dick around sucking up his money and sucking up his Pepsi and his cigarettes, dude. And he's gonna be like, fuck that. And your ass is gonna be out just like me, all alone. You're gonna think, wish I had Darian around, because we were both losers. We both didn't have nothing. That's how it goes. Then my question was like, why didn't do with the clean ass clothes and the cigarettes and the Pepsi and the money? Why didn't he want to share with me? Because it was about making me miserable. Control me with feelings, negative feelings, fear, pain, loneliness. And they create this sad little look on my face, and the girls don't want to be around that. And neither do the guys. Just look down at the ground. Fucking look down at the ground and shit. And they all want to be around the wealth. But they don't have. Is their life going the way they planned on it going? Is it going the way that they imagined or dreamed of? No, dude. They got money and all this shit, but they got some stupid car they don't want. They're at the bar drinking alcohol. Tell me, when you were 5 years old or 10 years old and you were having dreams of hot rods and one day having one of those cool hot rod cars, or maybe you're gonna have a badass motorcycle when you grew up. hanging out down at the bar and having an Audi with a ski rack on top and a $5,000 mortgage don't sound like having some badass motorcycle or hot rod. Sounds like you're living some fucking bullshit ass life that someone set up for you, and you're just playing fucking like number two for some other motherfucker that has a badass motorcycle and badass hot rod, and then you just watch him do it. Like, oh, this dude has a sick ass young. This dude has the boat and the motorcycle and the Ferrari, and you're just some motherfucking sideshow act that just has a little Audi with a ski rack, you know? That has enough money to hang out at the bar until your money's dry and then just go back to work, you know? I know about all these facts and details because I witnessed this shit for fucking 350 years, you know? I've witnessed shit for like 20 years, until 20 years, until another 20 years, until 100 years, you know? And that's what it is, yeah. So all these people playing with their yo-yo while this dude's doing a wheelie, you know? And your yo-yo string breaks, and everybody's just like, fuck, hang around this guy, you know? They go talk with this dude, you know? Help him wash his motorcycle type shit. And then maybe one day shit can work out for them, you know? Probably not. It's the same shit. It's never gonna change. Exactly what you were born into this world with, usually what you die with, you know? And I'm thinking, fuck dying, you know? It's not what I was born for, but other people think so. That's how they keep in control, you know? That's how they stay in control of everything, by programming your mind with all these lies, you know? Well, they may not be lies. They may be true things, but they're in the future, so they have to be untrue, right? The only thing that's real is the present moment in time. Things that are happening in the future, only God controls those things. The only thing that's real and true is the past, you know what I mean? The present moment. Anything that happens after the present thought and the present moment is having to do with God, you know, the life essence, the spirit, the thought, and everything else is untrue, you know? That's why people always get frustrated with me, because I'm always real, like, really focused on, you know, the truth or the absence of truth. I'm always really focused on what's not true, and then people are like, fuck, dude, the shit that I'm saying or doing or trying to create, the emotions or feelings, the thoughts that they're trying to put in your head, they're not God. They're not the real true God thought, you know? They're like, just listen to me and fear thought, shit like that. Go to work, dude. The reason why I'm old, I have an old mind, you know? Like, my mind, my spirit's a real old way of thinking, I think. Why can't I just sit around here and lay around here? Like, you know, some snake basking in the sand. And, oh, why not? The answer to that question has to do with fear. Because what if a truck comes along and runs you over? It's always some big, heavy object, right? What if some big, like, dinosaur comes along and finds you? You need to go hide inside your little closet where they won't find you, away from the movie and away from the concert and all that shit. Just go hide away from the camera and shit. No one will ever know you're there. They'll never know you exist. That way they won't be able to run you over in their big truck. And if that dude that's driving a big truck with a train finds out you exist, he might want to put you in front of it one day, you know? Or what if that guy with the gun, the guy that builds the guns at the gun shop, he might want to put you in front of the barrel one day. He finds out you exist, so the best idea is to stay off the radar, you know? But that ain't fun. You know, you're not gonna become successful or accomplished. That same guy told me, you know, you could be really successful if you were comfortable with not being successful. he's like, the true definition or meaning of success is like once you're at peace with being a loser or just being unsuccessful, then that's like the true meaning of success. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I am. I was like, I'm so aware of that, you know, like I don't need to do something or be somebody based on what I do. You know, I don't need to write a song or have a nice car or a nice house or a lot of money or shiny, fancy painted guitar. You know, it's like I could just sit around. But the only thing is, the rest of the world around you won't allow that. They try to instigate and motivate you, especially around the age that they say that you're 18. You didn't come up with these numbers. Your parents come up with these numbers mixed with the government, and they tell you that you're all these numbers, you know, and you're just like, okay, whatever, you just go along with it. Yeah, I'll go with that. They tell you what day, the week, and the month it is and all that shit, and then they're gonna tell you, you know, you need to be more productive, more like you haven't done shit for the last 5 years or the last 20 years, or haven't done shit for the last month and in the last week, in the last day, you haven't done nothing but sit around and watch TV. It's like, yeah, and I used to say it to my dad, like, yeah, so what? What are you trying to say? He's like, that's some lazy shit. You know, he started yelling. Like, I don't like that. I don't like it. You just sit around and watch TV all day and all night. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? You know? And that's another thing he doesn't like, because then he has to think, and that's more work, you know? Oh, you know, like, oh shit, dude. Now he's trying to tell me, why don't you come up with some ideas for me, my actions? It's like, what do you want to do, Dad? Go for a walk? My bike got stolen. That's a negative. That's a sad story. That's limiting. And then like, I ain't got no gas in the car and I ain't got no money. And it's like, well, get the fuck out of my house, you know? Like, okay, like, move out. Find out that the town I'm from doesn't have a homeless shelter. All they got is a county jail place that's like a prison. It's like dirty and smelly, and they got cauliflower and carrots and shit. And fucking like rotting non-fat milk and like dry ass fucking types of food. It's like you always need some milk and tap water to mix with it, and then that's like it's like this milk and this tap water. It's like doesn't feel very pleasant, you know. But it's like that's like the good part of the place. The bad part's like the guards and the prisoners that are all around you, you know. So you go in there like me. I have a mind or perspective of a little boy, you know. So when you go into the county jail, it's like prison. It's like nobody else in there really. There's not a lot of people in there that still have that little boy way of thinking. There's not like looking at the world like a little boy, like they're observing something new all the time. Those guys in there, they've been around in every damn little jail, prison, crack hole, through a lot of doorways, you know, hanging out with God and shit. Had them on all these high tech fucking experiences, you know, like drug lord houses, criminal shit, like, you know, those big motels in the city. They've been through a lot more doorways than this mine, you know. I've just been this little boy out on a bicycle, like on the main, you know, like out on the streets of the city, you know. And that's like the surface of the universe. That's like the outer reaches of the universe. I haven't been down inside the ground through these doors and these tunnels like these guys have been in these like houses of drug lords and arms dealers and fucking factories and fucking automotive facilities and shit. All that shit's down inside the earth. And I've been like with the sun and the stars, you know. I've been the sun and the day and the clouds and the fog and the moon and the stars. And like I said, just a little the mindset of a boy in society, you know, in the houses or the businesses down the main street. So these people in these type of places, their minds are different. They don't blend with mine. They go look at me like, oh, look at this little boy, weak minded, you know. They're like, they have minds of men, you know, and minds of police officers or prison guards. They have the mind of a prison guard. They have the mind of a criminal, and I have the mind of a schoolboy, I have the mind of a scared schoolboy, wondering what's gonna happen, some kid at school gonna attack me because I'm a nerd, and thinking like, do I have a chance to protect myself or guard myself, Probably not, dude. Probably been in all these dangerous situations before, God's using some alias, some other new look, He always has like two dudes with him. It's like, and like some dude comes up on you with two other guys, and it's like three dudes. And it doesn't matter how many friends you have with you, it's a bad deal because at any time, if you're against this motion that's acting on you, if you're somehow able to affect this motion, then God's just gonna use more physical bodies against you or your thought, So say I just said, oh, these three guys are trying to come on and tell me what to do. I just pushed them off a cliff, But then it's like, oh, then all of a sudden, all your friends, you think you had all these friends, like 10 friends in your gang, they're all of a sudden gonna look at you like you're the worst criminal in the world. They're gonna say, oh, you're a bad man, you're a killer. You push those guys off a cliff. Then you realize, like, oh shit, it's not the physical you gotta be worried about, it's the spiritual. You know what I mean? Those used to be your gang. They used to be your best friends. Now all of a sudden they're saying you're a bad guy. They used to say you're like this great fucking thinker, like you're a great fucking thinker, You probably thought that they thought you were good looking and you had wonderful pleasurable, pleasant thoughts. Always they're looking out for your well-being, and they're supporting you because you're such a handsome person, good looking, and part of their family and shit. And all of a sudden, they're like trying to incriminate you for getting rid of some controller type peoples. They're just trying to come and push you around and shit, like a kind of like a slave master and a slave, Just shut up, get kicked around and shit, and get tied up, And nothing ever gets accomplished, The world's perfect the way it is. The world's always like perfect the way it is because the world's always in a healing state from some kind of weird ass like dispute on the way it should be. That's what society is. It's like a million people with conflicting ideas of how shit should be, and then the way the world is, it's like always like trying to heal from like war. That's what the world looks like to me in society. It looks like it's just like they just take all of the signs of friction and conflict and they sweep it into like a bed of dirt or a closet and pretend like they weren't just having some big conflict or war. Like my dad used to yell at me like crazy and bitch and yell and complain about who I was and how I was and what I do and what I would do and all shit. And then 20 minutes later he'd be like, hey Darren, what's up, man? What you doing? Like he would totally change his way of thinking and his mindset. And I would still be stuck on him, treat me like shit, like treat me like second rate loser, like you're just some kid that I like he was like the way I perceived it was I was just some kid that he was letting live with him, but that he would exploit, like basically treat poorly, make himself feel better. Now I always imagine later on in life, I imagine that his dad or his boss at work was doing that to him. Like, why would he do that to me? Because somebody taught him how to do it. Somebody did it to him, and then he did it to me. And then I was like, I don't like this shit's like wasting my time, I have like hella good ideas and hella good thoughts, but then when he starts yelling and shit, I can't remember what I was thinking because I'm in fear that I'm trying to guard my physical body. I'm like in fear that he's gonna punch me or kick me. So I'm like I have to like look at him or like try to make distance from him, and that's a whole different thought, dude. Every movement takes a thought, and that's like every time you want to take 2 steps, that's 2 thoughts, you know? So it's like, it's all bad, you know? I was living at my dad's house, and then, I don't, I don't know, he was eating food that I didn't like to eat, you know? Like lobster and steak and shit, and he would make pasta with like tomato sauce, but then he'd say, I don't have any more tomato sauce, but you can just have pasta. And I was like, fuck living on pasta. So after I got tired of starving at my dad's house, I left because him and his girlfriend had money and jobs and shit and plenty of food. But I had zero, you know, zero money and zero food. I was drinking tap water. I was starting to feel pretty nervous. And because I wouldn't say it's just because I was thin and weak, but it also had to do with the fact that I had nothing to be satisfied about, or nothing to be fulfilled or in pleasure about. Just sit around all day trying to get pleasure out of some television, and then that television shit wouldn't make me happy. And then I was like, fuck this Dish Network television, shit's not doing it. And then I'd be like, I need to eat some food or drink something that'll make me happy. And then it'd be like crackers and shit. I'd be taking like Stone crackers, you know? It's like, fuck Stone crackers. And then one day I was like, I just had enough, you know? Like, I was tired of that repetitive Bible, and I was tired of that. I tried reading the Bible that I found, and I was like, this shit's garbage. It's nothing but, you know, a bunch of bullshit they repeat and say, confusing words and shit. And then I had this bad dream. I always tell my dad about it. Like, he's always complaining that I left his house. I was like, you would leave too if you had these bad dreams. These ugly girls, like, fucking trying to grope you and shit. Like, these ugly girls trying to grab you. They're all scarred up and ugly, you know? It's like, stuck inside a jail with a bunch of ugly girls, you know? It's like, and I was just like, boom, I was like, you know, I'm gonna walk out of here and see what I can find. It's all bad, dude. This bright ass sun, hot ass sun, heavy ass cars. And then if you ever do see somebody walking up, it's either a street thug or a police officer. They ain't helping. You know, the only best thing they had since then were like the homeless outreach people, but even those people inform the police and the street thugs about where you're at or what you're doing. So even though they may seem like positive thing or pleasant, like at first, giving you a piece of bread and a bottle of water really ain't a long term. It's not like a future long term like benefit, you know. Like it's like, okay, wow, another fucking like free meal. Listen to people talk about how I'm fat. You know, it's like, how fat could I be with no money and no home, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't work at a food store or anything. It's like, and they're just like, he's not fat. He got the belly. Well, I'm not gonna go do sit-ups for their ass. Who the hell are they that I should give a shit about their opinion, you know? Like, what am I gonna go do? The fucking ab doer? Could I do that? I wish I could remember one of those names of one of those ab machine things. Yeah, I had so many of those on those damn infomercials. If I would have had a credit card, I probably would have bought all of them, you know, just because I got the numbers to fill the empty spaces, you know, something to do. It's just about stimulant, like, oh cool, like I could be accomplished. That's why those people with those credit cards buy that shit, you know. When in the old days they used to have like COD, cash on delivery, or they used to write a check like when they deliver. Well, a lot of people are always gone and not at home at random times. It's always at the time the mailman shows up. That's hella funny shit. I am the truth. telling the truth. Why do you think the government doesn't like me, dude? Do you think that the government is using truth? No, they're using fear. Only God uses truth. Only God uses truth, and the little children. The government's somewhere in the middle, dude. They're neither high nor low. They're always like kind of happy, you know. Oh, I'm at the bank. That's some dumb shit. Or they're at their job, and like God's either really high or really low, trying to get high, you know. These other people are like, I'm fucking middle class, and I'm fucking not happy. But I'm not unhappy. I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think. Whether what I think, thinking is the same thing as believing, right? It's just what's your mind's telling you, right? But I really value what my mind's telling me right now, you know. A lot of times I don't. I'm thinking that's just some shit that's lying to me. God's lying to me. These thoughts come in my head, and I'm like, nah, I've had way better thoughts than that. If this isn't my best thought or my best desire, then this must be a lie. It must be untrue, you know. Well, based on pleasure, you know, based on the fact that I'm motivated mostly by pleasure and not by pain. Who the fuck wants to go feel pain all day, especially if it's the real shit, you know? Like the shit that's like, damn, dude, I can't believe I'm still alive, dude. You know, like maybe like stepped on a damn grenade, boom, fucking oh shit. Looking at your damn leg and the fucking foot's not there. You're like, damn, there's supposed to be a foot there, but it just looks like a leg, but the foot's not at the end. That whole 2 or 3 miles per hour shit, that shit just will fade away, you know? Like, it'll be like, oh, I could have went 2 or 3 miles per hour if I walked at 2 or 3 miles per hour and then counted an hour. What if you walk in circles, though? What if you walk in circles at 2 or 3 miles per hour? You're still not gonna go anywhere. And then, yeah, you just be like, damn, my foot's not there. You're gonna have to figure out something else, you know? Maybe they'll make you a bicycle that has like a foot pump on it. You can just do a 1-footer pumper. You know what I mean? Like those people that are crippled that can't move their legs, and then they can just use like a boat lever, like a hand throttle. So funny, like they're all quick to go to war for like $1 and a free gun, but then when they're like come out of Nam missing a limb and shit, they want like a fucking hand lever accelerator on a car. They think, oh, it's possible. Yeah, anything's possible, but they're like, who the fuck's gonna build you a hand lever powered car? You know, everything's like general issue. You know what I mean? Like they make a shitload of cars. They're all made the same way, so that the same damn dude can drive all of them if need be. You know, without wondering how it works. Like, why isn't this working? That's the funny shit. Why isn't this working? Because it's not a rose bush trimmer, dude. Shit's made to be complicated as hell. I always wanted to have a vehicle that was like hella simple, you know? But I don't know, dude. Like rolling down the road, like on a motorcycle or a bicycle, like say it was a bicycle that didn't have a chain on it, seems pretty simple, right? As long as the handlebars are connected to the front axle, it should work. And the wheels were firm. The round circular shape of the wheels was solidly round and didn't get flat spots, and it should work out. Yeah, but then when you add all this other shit, dude, you know what I mean? Like a car, dude, that shit's hella complicated, dude. Like, oh, you have right lever this, left lever that, and the laws and the lights of the night, and then have the lights on at night, otherwise it's a breaking law, and you get pulled over, and then you gotta press the brake lever, stop, and roll down the window, and it's like, if you had a bike with no chain on it, and solid round wheels that were fixed round and weren't gonna get flat spotted. It's a hell of a simple idea. You just like direct yourself and you roll. All of that shit doesn't exist, you know. And then only thing is you can't go very fast, you know. Just kind of like rolling down the road, like going with gravity, you know, going with the wind and the gravity and shit. See where you end up, probably in some gutter, like some big city, you know. Like what the fuck is this? Stuck in some gutter on some shitty old street, in some big city near the ocean, you know. Like it sucks. All hot and dusty and shit, and the sun shining on you. Oh well, that's like the top of the world. That's the power play. If you get there, you'll probably make it pretty successful, you know. If you ever get to some dusty ass, gritty ass, rocky gutter somewhere under the sun, that's like the fucking, that's like the level or the step you need to get to before you make it to the top, you know. Boom, you know. Maybe later that night shit will change. Maybe you'll find a drink. Maybe you'll find like a drink and a cool song will be playing, you know. We're at some restaurant. That's why I like to move around because if you ever notice like all the shit you used to have in your life that you like, it didn't seem like you moved away from it. It seemed like somebody moved it away from you. Like the car or the bike or the stereo came up missing one day. Like you went to the store and when you came back it was gone. Next said someone robbed the house. Or you sold it or something like that because you thought you were tired of it, but then you regret it. You change your mind later, you know? Like, why am I selling shit? That's like some weak shit, right? That's like a punk for the dollar. Like, because they wouldn't give you $1 because they're like, fuck that, he already has a bike and a stereo. So then you're like, fuck it, I'll sell my bike and my stereo so that I can get like $1 to get some food. And then you go buy food and then the dollar's gone. Now the food's gone. You took a shit in the toilet. The dollar's gone. The food's gone. The stereo's gone. The bike's gone. You're like sitting there with nothing. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? While these other people live down there at Grocery Outlet and Safeway, they just live there all day and all night, and they keep their car parked there and their stereo parked there and everything. That way, if they ever want their shit back, you know, they don't have to go too far to find it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I always wondered how it worked. Like, where does the energy come from? Where does it go? That's my biggest question. Uh, yeah, like my biggest question. Like now, I always have these things where I say like I'll be talking to myself and I'll say like my biggest question in life is like something about some shit. You know, like how do they make this or like where do they make this shit and what do they make it out of? How much? What's protein? No, I don't know. No, I have these questions and shit. I'm not sure if they're good questions or if they're just sound good at the time. But it's the question. My biggest question is like, oh yeah, where does the energy go when you don't have it? You know what I mean? And how come? Where's the energy coming from when you do have it? See what I'm saying? It's weird. It's like that's what's really important, right? Like having the will to move or make amounts of volume, that seem like more than the normal. What do people say? It's like not entertaining. They call it this shit's like normal or regular. They're like, this shit's not entertaining because it doesn't feel special or different. How do people get the amount of energy that feels like entertaining and special and exciting and different? How do they get the amount of energy that it takes to get to those volumes? And then how do they get the energy? Where does the energy come from? And then if you don't have that kind of energy, where does it go? It's not something that you're able to see physically. You know what I mean? Then it's like, fuck, dude. So it's like, where does the energy come from? Where does it go? You know? Maybe it's like God's spirit's moving through you. So at like any time, God may be using your physical body as the physical component to be the energy or the volume. God's having a great time, dude. Fucking sitting around being successful, you know? God's having a great time fucking laying around doing jack shit thinking, damn, I'm so fucking successful and powerful, you know? Even if I never did have any money or build a fucking big ass fucking Fortune 500 million billion dollar company. Being successful is like thinking, nah, I'm a god. Damn, I'm God. Like, it's about lying to yourself too. What do you think? Like, God's always sitting around doing jack shit, thinking, dude, I'm the fucking shit, I'm the best, I'm God. Fucking who else has something to say about it, or has something else to say about it? And then it's like, if God's sitting around by God's self, of course God's lying to God's self, because there's nobody there to say whether it's true or not, dude. You know what I mean? Like, is this true? Yeah, it is true. Whatever God says is true. You know what I mean? That's what makes fucking what makes being God so easy. It's just like, regardless if you believe me or not, it's the truth. And then they're just like, fuck, you know. Because the way that you say it, like assertively, is when you say it's the truth, you say it like with sonic volume in a physical thought. Like, look, it's the truth. Because when you say truth, you look him in the eye and you look around at all the physical, visual shit. You think about the visual when you say it's the truth. You think about the visual, and then it's like, oh shit, the senses, vision, sound, and taste. That's the only thing that's true, you know, as far as like affecting the desires. I went very deep into the truth, and you know the real truth that most people are never gonna get is that those three senses, truth is behind those, and that's what God is, and God never reveals that. You know what I mean? You never even know when you die. When you die, it's never told. The only person that knows the absolute truth is God. And it's like the people that smell the designer fragrances, like the CK ones and the Axes and the Bodmans. All that shit's just a thought that's provoked or evoked, instigated in your mind, and you think it's something that's positive or something. You think it's a good thing, but it's just like pacifying your mind. It's programming your thoughts, and it's making you lose time and your ground and physical groundwork on your own ideas. You're never gonna accomplish anything if you're busy smelling all these fragrances, and then you're smelling shit, then you're listening to music, then you're smelling this fragrance over here, designer fragrance. Then you're hearing all this hella good music that you're spending hours and days and nights listening to. And then you're looking at their fucking like video games or their television set. And then they never know who you are, and you just die one day when you're 70 or 50. Now, if you just said the hell with all the designer fragrance, and the hell with television, and the hell with like the way shit looks around me, that's how you become somebody. Like, that's how those people became famous, when they said fuck the world, around me and fuck their music and fuck their flower pot potpourri shit. Then you start going out there and like building up your own shapes and you're building up your own sounds, and then those are the type of people that made, you know, a name for themselves. Like even Steinway, like they had this shit called Steinway piano, and it's like a horizontal placed piano where the strings run parallel to the ground. Even that shit's like carefully calculated by God, you know? Like this isn't a type of sound that's like far different from what's supposed to be the acceptable, you know, norm in society. You know what I mean? Like the shit that's the shit that you need to do is like get a baseball bat and then have your friend, like if you got like some bottles of wine and set them up or toss them up and hit them with a baseball bat, like that's the way to be innovative and sound, you know? Like do some shit that's not often done, you know? But playing with guitars and pianos and shit, you know, no one's ever gonna give a damn about who you are. And like buying, you know, like oh yeah, riding on tires and shit. Everybody's done that, you know. You'd have to be the guy that helped them build that cartoon, George Jetsons, and they'd be like, this dude's somebody, you know. Like you know, the guy that thought it was a good idea to build highways, like place. That guy was me, you know, the guy that had the idea to build roads that didn't have stop signs and traffic lights. That was like me when I was a little baby. I was like, what is this shit? Stop signs and traffic lights. That was some shit that God created. I immediately thought it was a bad idea because that's where they get you. When you stop at the stop sign or the traffic light, the cops get you, right? The cops pull up and tie you up and point the gun. And I immediately thought, why don't they have passive roads that don't have stops at them? And then they named him like Dwight D. Eisenhower, some weird name. And so there's some old man that was like a president or some shit. They have a story on the computer, the damn television, History Channel. All that shit was created by some high tech fucking like computer database, like record movie company, you know, like Warner Brothers or, you know, Atlantic Records or some shit like that, like Capitol Records or Universal Studios or MGM. Those type of people are the people that make those programs, like History Channel programs, and they're totally made to control the mind and the thoughts, and not only control your thoughts, but make you believe it. Like, oh, it's some shit on television. Like a lot of the shit that's on the news channel or History Channel, people believe it. But I used to watch that CNN channel, and I never really give a shit what was going on that channel because it never seemed like anything was going on that channel except a bunch of people looking around, sitting down, you know, like what's gonna happen? And then they would just say some random shit once in a while, and it didn't really matter. But yeah, the freeway or the highway idea, it was this path that you could keep rolling down as long as you could keep rolling down it, and you wouldn't have to stop at a stop sign or a traffic light, but you would have to stop if a police lights siren thing was flashing on you, which is kind of strange. It's kind of weird, huh? But I was gonna stop this video at a different number, but I say like I'm always questioning why I'm gonna do something. You know, like, why would I stop it? Is it too long? You know what I mean? Is some 2 0 some shit too long? Or maybe I should have stopped it after 20, 30 seconds. But the more and more longer that I keep these videos on, it's like the better the shit gets, you know? The better I get at thinking real deep into some shit that matters. Like, if they took away freeways or highways, then your ass would be at a stop sign or traffic light most definitely all day, you know? It'd just be nothing but heat and misery for you. Just sitting there in the sun, just burning. Fuck, I need more water than this. They don't have water fountains and shit at traffic lights and stop signs. That's a whole different idea. A stop sign and traffic lights is a dry ass place where there's a bunch of light and rocks and light and shit. That gives me an idea, Imagine you pull up at this traffic light and the fucking water's running out of the fucking tube, like dripping down, like it's a water park, like those water slide parks. And you're just like, oh yeah, water's all over the hood and shit. You're just like, oh, this ain't so bad. And then fucking like, when you pull through the intersection, your car goes under like a cascade of water. It's like a solid sheet of water. It's like in those nice restaurants and shit, like, or those motel lobbies, or at your friend's pad, at that fucking MTV Crib pad and shit, like the motel or that apartment swimming pool. I was at this house that had some shit like that, and I was like, damn, this dude has like waterfalls coming out of the swimming pool and shit. I was like, this shit's tech, dude. They have to have like electric water pumps to make that happen, you know what I mean? And I was like, holy shit. I can't even, I don't remember where that was or how I got there. I just remember one day I was over there and I was like, I've never been to a modern ass shit like this. I've always been in these like old ass swimming pools at old motels, or maybe they were new motels, but they looked old, you know what I mean? They had like a bluish colored paint job on the bottom of the swimming pool, like it was either blue or white or some shit. And then, yeah, I forgot where I was at. I remember I was at my friend Greg's house and they put a swimming pool in his backyard. But no, I don't really think that's what he had. He didn't have those waterfall things. Can't remember where I was at that had that shit. He did have a cool ass like bottom of the swimming pool was made out of like broken glass. It was made out of like these like smallest pieces of like blue glass. It looked like micro tiles. They were like half-inch to quarter-inch tiles that were like, what they do is they like plaster the hole in the ground with like some cement. They shoot a bunch of cement all over the dirt, and then they put a bunch of like quarter-inch tile inside of like a hopper, and they spray it on the surface like all evenly and shit, so that the bottom of your swimming pool looks all fancy and shit. It's like a modern way to build a swimming pool. It's all like that. It's like the new modern technique of building a swimming pool fancy and shit. I can't remember that, dude. And I was at the swimming pool that had those waterfalls. Must have been at like a motel or some friend's house I never usually go to. Like my friends invited me over somewhere because yeah, I remember that they had like some slate rock. Might have been at Alex's house. I think that's where it was at. I knew this guy from public school. And he had like some slate rock like planter box and shit, and he had these like waterfalls that would only come on if you turned the switch on. That's probably why I couldn't remember, because they weren't always on. They turn them on for a second, like, oh wow, everybody's like, oh that's cool, and then they turn it back off. Like, not with the stories, like, oh those take too much electricity. Like that takes a lot of electricity. Fuck paying the PG&E bill. Then they run them for like a little while, and then once everybody's like not entertained with it anymore, they switch it back off. But yeah, it's cool when they're on because you can like stick your head under it and just have water flowing on your head all day. Like that's the type of shit that would be cool. Get the traffic light or the stop sign and shit. I remember there was like in the old days, like people would be out in the streets of the city and they'd have a garden hose out there, but they'd have a garden hose out there like on a summer day in the city because there's not a lot of water that's not inside of a pipe in the city, but they would take the garden hose out to the street, or some shit like that. They'd find a busted fire hydrant and be like, that's saved the day. It's like hot ass poor people walking down the sidewalk and then like find some water flowing. They're like, fuck, dude. Like it happened to me the other day. I was like walking in the hot ass sun, all dry and shit, feeling miserable. All of a sudden, I came upon like some sprinklers in the grass. I was like, I should just stay around here for a while and just like try to get as wet as possible because it's gonna be a long, hot day. Realizing there's so much clear sky and so much blue sky and hot ass sun. It didn't seem like there was gonna be any foggy clouds or rain clouds forming anytime soon. Either all the water was deep inside the ground or way far up in the atmosphere, 1,000 miles away. It would take like a month to collect it all and bring it back down to Earth. That's where those winter rainstorms come from that last like a month. You know those times when it seems like it rained for like a week or two straight. That's where those come from. They come from like all of the atmosphere that's floating out in outer space. It gets all condensed and collected, and it comes back, and it takes like a week to bring it all back, and then the Earth is all like super hydrated, you know. Because when God's up there flying around, you know, like Aladdin on a magic carpet, like if God's out there in the outer space flying around on a magic carpet and shit, like Aladdin or like the genie, then you think God wants to be in some dry ass place? No, that's why all the moisture's way out there in outer space, because he's out there on a magic carpet and he's breathing the water in. If one winter it rains for 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Like maybe he's come back to Earth